O'clock on the January 8th, Thursday, January 8th, and we're at the public safety meeting. And can we have roll call, please, Melanie?
Alderperson Hoggett.
Here.
Alderperson Vanslow.
He is excused, yes.
Alderperson Yakub.
Here. Okay, and do we have an approval or consideration or anything changes in the minutes?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's going to be fun when there's two of us. Kind of goofy sounding,
I didn't
but
really
sorry.
get that till today. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's goofy. We're good. Okay, consider the request to conduct St. Croix Animal Friends Raised a Roof Dog Walk on Saturday, June 8th, 2013, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Lakefront Park. You're on. Hi.
Well, we did this last year, so this is our seventh. This is actually our seventh annual Raise the Wolf Animal Walk. It's going to be, well, we're hoping it's going to be June 8th at Lakefront Park. The walk route does not go on the road; it's on the walking trails only. We don't need security. We don't need barricades. We will make sure that all the dogs are leashed. They were all leashed last year. And we provide poop bags, so we don't have to worry about messes like that. Estimated number of participants is about 200. Is there anything else you guys need to know?
Are you renting the band shell, or are you just going to go and use the park? Or are you guys using
We
the
would
band
like
shell?
to use the band shell.
Okay.
And we also rent tents.
I'm sorry. Oh,
We
tents?
also rent tents, yeah.
I need to.
They
Okay.
just need to get a hold of with
Yep.
from Public Works. But
No, they've held this event before.
they've held it down here. Last year they held it down there with not a problem. They held it in Prospect Park prior to that. And
Yeah.
we haven't had any issues with this event.
Yeah, no, it's a good event. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Monica Jensen, is that next on the list? Yes. Consider request to conduct Monica Jensen Foundation Foot Race on Saturday, October 12th, 2013, at 8 p.m. at Lakefront Park.
Hi, I'm Heidi Lutz. Did everyone get the handout that we did? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Basically, this will be our 7th year holding a run, 5th year in Hudson. We've always done a 5K run that started at the high school and ended down at Lakefront Park. This year we want to change things up, and we want to do, because our foundation is about melanoma and raising funds for melanoma, we've always wanted to do a night run, kind of out of the sun, kind of goes with our what we raise money for. So we're trying to do a night run, kind of an electric run, neon run, where we would light up the park with colors and lighting. And we have the course that we are hoping. One of the board members did run it last Sunday, and this is what we came up with. There's only one spot where we think we may need some help from the police. Otherwise, if we can get away with doing it with lighting and cones, which is just where First Street goes down into the marina, and kind of there's a, find my map here.
Are you starting down at the south end of Lakefront Park? Is that where you decided to start?
We're going to start where the concession stand bathrooms are,
Okay.
in that parking lot.
All right.
Come out of the parking lot and go right, all the way down then to the marina,
Okay.
and then back around by the river, back up toward the park, then down the pier and back, and then up First Street all the way up to that bike path.
Okay. So you're going to go down. You're going to go onto First Street.
On the path or the sidewalk along First Street.
Correct, but it looks like there's, on your map here, it looks like there might be a second, because there is no path along First Street once you get down towards the marina. It's on the riverside, it's not on the
Right,
street side.
it kind of looks on the map that it's more along First Street. That path, there's kind of two paths.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to stay on when we're coming down toward the marina, we'll stay on the one further from the river. But still, when it comes to that parking lot, there's nothing. There's no path or sidewalk there that's where we're thinking that corner where it kind of jogs, which would be on First Street, that we would either be able to use cones or a police assistant, and that's the first run, or the first stretch of the run, so it's probably going to be the widest. People aren't spread out yet, which is why we were thinking that corner we might need something to just keep people safe, keep the cars.
Where are we talking?
It's down here, right at the
No,
bottom.
I know where we're talking on the map. I'm just trying to picture I was thinking when you were talking just now that we were crossing, that crossing would be past a private marina, but no, that's too far. This is better. It's down, when you come up this and end up in the parking lot here.
Yeah. There's nothing.
Right.
We still need to come back here.
So it is the private, you're coming all the way down past,
To here.
almost to, past, okay,
To
I
here
got
and
it.
then onto this path.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're going on to First Street just before you get to the parking lot, going past the entrance and then catching that trail on the backside and then bringing it all the way back around and headed back down through the park again.
Great.
Okay.
So, my first concern when I found out it was going to be that you wanted to switch to night, which, by the way, I know you guys do this every year. I think it's great, and every year these just get more and more sophisticated. I must say, I'm getting. It's like I just feel like I want to take it home and show my kids. But I was worried about what if someone falls and hurts themselves. But it does say here that you guys are insured.
We are insured, and we have also, the last 2 years, April Wohlers, who is an EMT here in Hudson, has volunteered her time.
Yep.
And has been down at the race.
Okay. Marty still has a concern about the.
Well, my only concern would be that when they get onto First Street, they're going to be going with traffic back in that direction. Is it possible to run the route the opposite direction so that when they hit that small stretch, they'll be going against traffic, so it'll be more spaced out, so it'll be more single file? Just run it in the opposite direction?
I don't see why we couldn't.
I mean, instead of it being a big pack, it's going to be like a few.
It'll be more spread
Dispersed,
out.
yeah, because
and then
people have-
the people will be right along the curb line, and they'll be going against traffic. You could still have cones out there to warn people, but drivers are going to be able to see them coming. Versus if you've got a whole slew of people right at the beginning that are right next to each other.
We're going to have cones to mark the street, right? There'll be cones like.
Well, they can get cones from the hauler if they
Right.
got their own.
Yep.
That's fine.
But I know you have cones, and you say cones and flags will be provided at start and finish line and throughout the course. But I mean, like, if we're going to be in an area like that, it's almost like, do we want to? Do they need to create like a pseudo path, or just cone it so people know something's going on? Or
I think they just cone it to let something know, because I know they've done it in their other events that they've had on 9th Street. They'll have cones. They'll have
Yep.
cones on St. Croix Street, just enough so that the runners know where they need to run to.
Okay.
So,
And
and
then
that
we'll-
intersection down there where the boat launch is pretty lit up, and I know they were going to have some extra lighting.
We're gonna
out
have
there.
additional
So
colored lights
everything's
also.
going to be lit.
Yes.
There's not going to be any darker areas.
So,
If you're okay with it, Marty, I mean, my biggest concern was insurance as far as,
Right.
also as far as if, can't guarantee that every area of the city is, without a hole.
Yep,
or
we will carry
raised
event
concrete.
insurance.
right.
Yep.
So,
I did meet with them prior to coming to the meeting here a couple weeks ago or something. We talked about the route and what to look for and so forth. So I was pretty comfortable when I left that meeting. So
okay, and you're okay with reversing the route?
Yes, we can do that. So it's more single file by the time they get to that point.
yep.
Yep.
You have any concerns, John?
No, I don't. I think that kind of takes care of it. Reversing the route. It looks like a ton of fun. I'm looking at the pictures with the night neon stuff, and it looks like a blast.
Yeah. Okay, well, then I'll make a motion to approve based on Marty's recommendations.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along.
Event in Lakefront
To the
Park.
next run. We just love Lakefront Park tonight. Consider request to conduct the Les Berg Memorial 5K Walk Run on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2013 at 6 p.m. in Lakefront Park. This is the second year, right?
It is.
Yes, and both at Lakefront Park. and
Yes, yep. And I'm Cindy Corbett on the Operation Help Board. And I hope I'm not grossly unprepared because I have nothing other than these notes that they said, Cindy, you'll be fine. It's going to be 6 o'clock, May 22nd. It's all going to be on the sidewalk or the bike path from the band shell to the dike and back. We'll have volunteers along the route for the turnaround. We'd like to use the shelter where we have our registration before the run and then for refreshments after.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same race,
Yep,
same
it's
route,
last year.
same everything as last year. They're right. It's going to be fine.
Okay,
You'll be
thank
fine. So there's really no change. So
Right, looks like the same deal.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cruising right along. All right. Now we get to the big stuff. Consider billing for fire responses within the city of Hudson. Jim?
After last meeting, you had some questions. I forwarded those on to the city attorney, and in your packet is her response. Basically, in a nutshell, that she said we can bill for calls. You should kind of lean towards nonprofits and, you know, the way I read
Non-city residents?
Non-city residents kind of thing. For on the basis is they don't pay to maintain the service.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that. Go on, I'm sorry. Are you good?
You know, if you figure out the number of calls and the dollar amount, I don't know if we'll have a big benefit out of it versus the time that it's going to take to put into recovering those funds.
Well, I mean, there's processes that we use, the police use, and EMS uses to recover funds. I'm sure we can somehow tie it in. We can
Right.
look to see if we can tie it into that process. I was thinking about that too, about who would do the billing and stuff, and I think for sure this is in no way ready to go forward. We just need to work out some issues, but I think we could talk with Devin, have a sit down with Devin and see what they could, for administrative wise, who can help with billing, see what he says. I'd agree here too that we need to look at get a policy actually written up with a fee schedule and stuff like that. We don't
Right.
even have that yet,
Right.
so we're not even.
Well, at the fire board, we were originally just talking about mobile property, people
Yep,
that
that's what
are
it
not
says
right.
here.
Okay.
Yep.
I just
Mobile.
want to clarify the scope on this.
Yep, not a
yeah.
home, but yeah.
Right.
Because we already have a fee for false alarms for for other things.
Right.
So it's about vehicle and mobile.
And this was, Town of Hudson had said that and didn't somebody else, does Town of Troy do that too? Or-
Town of Troy is $800 for everything, for any call in their district.
Well, if I'm understanding this right, it says payroll cost for a fire response is around $500, but the actual cost is somewhere around $2,000. I mean, are you
Right.
saying that we're paying, I mean,
We can't bill the 2,000, I mean, we can't pay for the rolling stock or that kind of thing. The way I got, from what Catherine said, we can't bill for, like, apparatus. We can only bill for what
right.
the cost
Of course.
incurred.
So it really costs us $2,000 though every time you
More than
go out there.
more than likely. You know, if you figure in capital costs and fuel
Yeah.
and all, I mean, everything. If you take the budget by the number of runs every year, it's pretty spendy.
Right. So that's what I wanted to clarify. So really, you're looking at more like $32,000 a year is what we spend on vehicle moving property accidents. There was 26 moving property accidents is what
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
Right.
Was that gonna-
Accident, those are probably car fires and, you know, mobile
Right.
property.
Right, which is what we're referencing. So
Right, is that all mobile property, or is
That's what
that
this says.
non-resident mobile
Nope, it
property?
says there were 26 moving property accidents, 6 moving property fires, and 6 repeat fire alarms. Are you saying non-resident? Well,
No, they're not sorted out by non-resident in that 26.
okay, even if you cut it in half, it's 16,000.
Sure.
So, I don't know, I think if we can recover 500 of every 2,000 through a billing process, I think it is something to consider, especially if we, can figure it out administratively, how to get it done. You know, I don't know, budgets are tight, so if we can help replenish the, you know, funds, I think that's always a
That's the political decision that you need to make.
I think we have a lot more questions that need to be answered. What do you think, John? There's a couple. There's
What
quite
other
a few
questions do you have?
There's quite a few questions on here. Like, do we need a fee schedule? We have to get a policy written up exactly how we're going to do the billing. We're going to, it's suggested that we do the vehicle owner first, and if we can't get paid for them by them, then we go to the driver. If we can't get paid by, you go to the insurer first, then the driver, then there's. When you're dealing with the cars, you don't know who's driving the car. Is it the person who's insured? Is it someone else? There's some hoops that need to be worked out.
Yeah.
Red tape.
Is it the driver or the owner of the vehicle
Right,
that's
that's what I'm-
responsible?
Right, exactly. So we have to be specific as to if we can only have this towards nonprofits and excuse me,
Mobile property.
Thank you. I'm just not. Yeah, there's just a lot of different questions that still. Who's gonna bill? How are we gonna do the billing? Who are we gonna do the billing through? None of this. We don't have the answers to any of this yet. We just have.
Well, the reason we talk about property, resident versus non-resident, New Richmond, for example, only charges vehicles if they are not a resident.
Oh, I don't disagree with the resident, non-resident
okay.
thing, because you pay taxes, so
Right.
you should get the service. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm just saying that we need a policy written up. We can't just take this to council.
I guess I need some sort of guidance to create that policy.
Okay, well, so we can sit down.
You know what I'm saying? I need to know what this committee's thinking so the policy can be
Well,
created and move on.
I think
Or come back again for the policy review.
Right. Well, I think we're all in agreement that it's non-resident mobile fires or mobile runs, wherever because it might not be a car fire. Who knows?
It could be a fuel leak or anything like that.
So, and then also, how we're going to, in what order we're going to bill, and who administratively is going to handle that. At least for now, let's get these questions answered. And am I missing something when it comes to billing?
I don't think so. I think doesn't the town of Hudson, they just send it right to the
vehicle owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, which.
And then they submit it to
you
insurance.
assume
and
is the
hope-
insurer, right?
yeah,
You
right.
assume the vehicle owner is the insurer, but.
Because we don't know who the people's insurance is or anything like
Right.
so
Right.
I guess that's kind of,
We have to try to collect that information
The
at the
insured
time.
is, but the thing is
If
that
they have
if they
insurance.
don't, well, then that's a bigger problem in Wisconsin, if they live in Wisconsin. But if we don't get a response from the insured, then you have to look to see if the driver was not the insured, then you go to the driver, and then, that's what we're being, that's what's being suggested upon us as to how to consider billing. So, we'll figure it out. The point is, we'll figure it out, how we're gonna
Okay.
do that. I can sit down with you and we can get it written up.
and this is just pretty much in line with the sheet I have here has River Falls, New Richmond Rural,
Yeah.
Town of Richmond, all those, and Roberts all have some policy. We are the only ones that do not at this point
Yeah,
for
and
mobile.
I think what should be done too, Jim, is gather those policies up from
Okay.
Town of Hudson and
The
you know,
written policy.
who's in our joint fire board with us, and we don't want to be too far different from them either. We want to be trying to stay consistent. So, so this is more. I'm gonna put this for the next agenda, for next month's agenda, to come back with a
Hopefully a draft policy.
draft policy, and we gotta sit down with Devin possibly, and figure it all out. Is everyone okay with that?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Consider, number 7, EMS, Fire Department, Police Department updates. We'll start with EMS tonight.
EMS has nothing to report right now.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
I know.
Right? No news is good news.
Well, then fire has the same thing to report.
Okay. All right. What about you? Dave, nothing?
Only thing I would just like to say is that we do have alarms, and I want the people to realize that no matter what kind of detection they have in their home, even if it is hardwired to the electric, they still have batteries. We still get CO alarms, and they didn't put the battery in there, so it's beeping. So make sure you check all those alarms in your home, whether it's CO alarm, smoke alarm, hardwired, or the cheapo ones that are just battery, and then put the new batteries in. They're coming out with a new alarm system, or they're going to guarantee it for 10 years with a lithium battery in, and they're going to seal the chamber. So we'll see what happens with that. I got my doubts, but on that. But people should check that on a regular basis because we are in winter now. We're coming to the second half of winter.
And can we also remind people to clear their fire hydrants, and if they have a fire
If
hydrant
they got a fire in front of home, they can
and
shovel
your-
that out. Yeah.
And your piping that comes out of your house, like from your, you know,
Oh, you mean your
Furnace
piping?
furnace and all that. Yeah, if we get a heavy snowstorm, you don't want those covered up.
And especially now with this real cold snap, the newer furnaces, you'll end up with quite a bit of frost, or it can ice up and
Yeah.
cause you grief that way too.
Yeah. So any other house safety for,
Yeah.
you know, that. Marty.
Our new squad is finally outfitted and on the road. The other
Saw it.
Explorer is out and about, so we have 2 4-wheel drive vehicles.
Just in time.
Yep, they both look really good. We just promoted 2 sergeants. They started on Saturday. We promoted Jeff Willems and Pete Schultz.
Okay.
So currently what will happen is Pete's going to stay in the schools until the end of the school year, so there's no, and we'll work on the process of finding a new school resource officer to take his place towards the end of the school year. Jeff Knops, who is currently the detective, will stay in his position, and then until Pete comes out of the schools, and then we'll make, Jeff will go back onto patrol.
Okay.
So we'll have a few changes. I'm not quite sure. Jeff Williams will stay in investigations, and then when Pete comes out of the schools in June, we'll be making some changes in investigations and patrol to see how that works out. So we're kind of looking forward to the next couple months to see how things shape up.
And did you talk to the schools about school safety?
I did talk to the schools about school safety. We had a meeting with the schools in regards to their crisis plans. They're working on updating them. In fact, there was several of us from Fire EMS and Police Sheriff met with them, talked about their plans, and in fact, we're going to be working with them on doing walkthroughs and training opportunities and so forth to get their plans updated. So we're working pretty hard with the schools to try to get on the same level. So the schools had good plans in place, but the plans had been there for quite a while, and a lot of the schools had their own plans versus everybody having the same one.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
And what
working
about
on it.
like, are you talking about, you know, protection, like locking
Well,
within the school?
We're going to go do a walkthrough with them and take a look at some of the security features they can put in there. But again, it is a school, it's not a
Right.
prison. You got to make sure it's accessible to the public,
course.
but yet you want to be able to keep the kids safe. So
Of course.
it's that balancing act, but we're working on that as well. So
Most of the schools now have, when you come in the main entrance, the door is locked on the outside. So you got to take the side door, and that brings you into the office.
Right.
Then you sign in or whatever you got to do. But
Most of them, not all of them.
the only Willow River doesn't have it. But
EP Rock.
and then
they're working on that.
we had training today. We were able to go over to Bill's Gun Shop. We want to thank them for allowing us
Oh,
to go over
good.
there and shoot. That turned out to be very nice. And then we did a active shooter training in conjunction with Cardinal Health. We're able to go into their facilities and do some scenario-based training with our airsoft guns
Was
and
that
so
tonight?
forth.
Tonight?
No, that was back in December. So that was after our last meeting. So that went very well. So we hope to continue to do that. One of our goals in conjunction with the schools is trying to get into the different elementary schools that we haven't probably done some training into and see if we can get in there like Willow River, because that thing is a maze in there. And I know for a fact for myself, I don't know where every nook and cranny in that place is. So
Okay, good.
we're going to be working on that.
That's good. All right, and casual call salary, is this under informational item?
Well, I brought it up as an informational item because I'm thinking about bringing this forward to the finance committee and seeing, well, I want to first see how public safety wanted to take a look at this. Currently, we're paying our casual call employees $12 an hour. St. Croix County just raised their part-time salaries up to $18 an hour, and I want to make sure that I hang on to the part-timers I do have, and then if I, looking at getting more part-time or casual calls, I want to be able to be somewhat competitive with the surrounding communities. What I'm thinking about doing is, and this would not be an impact on my budget other than I would have to reduce the number of hours that I would have my casual calls working, would be going from $12 an hour to $14 an hour. So what I would end up doing is I would end up, instead of having 2 casual call officers on every Friday and Saturday night throughout the whole year, in the slower months, January, February, March, maybe around the end of November, first part of December, when things are quieting down for us on Fridays and Saturday nights, I'd be back down to 1 casual call officer working on a Friday, Saturday night. And then when the spring and summer months and falls come in, I'll be back to the 2 officers working on Friday and Saturday nights with our full-time officers. And then that would keep me within my budget amount that I have for the $20,000.
And right now they get 1,100 hours that they can work.
They can work 1,100 hours,
year.
correct.
And it was 600 last year?
I believe so. There was a change in Act 10 that allowed them to increase the amount of hours they work without having to receive, I believe it's a retirement and health insurance and so forth.
So how would that affect overtime?
Well, the casual call officers help us in overtime when we have those situations where we've got to do say we have to do a Chapter 51 transport. We have to take somebody to a mental health facility, and it's going to be like in Eau Claire or even farther like Madison, and we have to have 2 officers that go with. We can have a casual call officer go with the full-timer. Well, that saves me the overtime. Obviously, $14 an hour versus somewhere around $60 an hour is quite a bit of savings. So we use them for that. We use them for the events down in Lakefront Park. And like I said, having those extra officers available to, say if we have a crime scene where we have to have it secured for a number of hours, and my officers have already worked 12 or 16 hours, I can put a casual call officer there to secure the scene at a cheaper rate versus having a full-time officer sitting there.
So how does that salary compare? I know you're comparing it to St. Did we just raise their salary in the last budget?
We have not.
We talked about it?
No, we've talked about it, but I think what ended up happening is I've raised the amount of money that's in that budget so I could do some more things. The problem we were running into is that my casual call were being used quite a bit by other organizations, which we charge them for, but that money doesn't come, doesn't come back into my budget. So what I had to do is I had to put more money into that account so I could make sure that I had enough coverage during the year for myself. The money comes in as revenue, but it doesn't go back into that account for me to use again later that year.
Right.
Kind of offsets.
How many of those do we have?
I currently can have up to 10. I have 7 right now, and I'm beginning the background 3 more to get back up to 10.
Wait, so we call out, we use our casual call officers to help with runs and things, which I understand. They pay us, but you don't get, so you're paying your casual call officer, they pay us, but the money that they pay us doesn't go back to your budget?
No.
It goes back to the general fund?
It shows as revenue and goes back in the general fund. It does not go back into my budget for $20,000. That's an accounting. I've been arguing that point for years. So you could get it. Good luck.
It's very interesting. It's kind of similar to the, if we sell a car, where should the money go?
Well, but I think the one thing is I think because of accounting, the way it is, it can't come back in.
Wow.
That way.
Okay.
So it can be used to show an offset. So if I go over budget in that account at $20,000, but I show a revenue that came in at $10,000, well, I'm not over $20,000. I just only use 10.
So, all right, that's fine.
So basically, what I'm asking is just
how is that? Okay, so my question is then what I was trying to get to is how is that salary compared to like River Fall? I know you're comparing to St. Croix County, but I want to know like the surrounding departments similar to our size.
I believe like River Falls doesn't have part-timers. They have auxiliary, and they're not armed or any of those lines. St. Croix County obviously is $18 an hour. New Richmond, I don't know if they have part-timers, but I know Somerset does, and they're averaging right around that $15 to $16 range for their part-timers.
Well, I mean, if you can work it in the budget, and I just don't want to lose feet on the ground, and start having overtime start increasing, because then that's just going to counteract what you're trying to do.
Right, exactly.
Then, I mean, you have my support.
Right. No, I sat down with Devin and we took a look at it, and as long as, the quieter months, instead of using 2 casual call officers out, I can just use 1 on a Friday and Saturday, save them up towards the beginning of the year, and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
And it won't cost us any more money. I'll
Your
just use the money
budget.
in my budget, so.
It's your
But I just
budget.
wanted to get your feel
Yeah.
for it, because if I bring it forward to finance, I wanted to at
No,
least see
that's
what
good.
your reaction would be, so.
It's good. Well, a lot of those guys we end up promoting, usually, men and women, don't we? Eventually, they usually come on.
We've hired several,
Yep, so, I mean, it's kind of like, we don't have to really train them,
right.
you know, so that's just money saver there too. So we want to keep the ones that, you know, want to keep them.
Correct.
All right, well, good, good. So items for future agenda, will you, I asked Melanie to put it on for next month. Will you be ready with the siren next month?
I can try.
Okay,
I'll do my best while I'm out.
yeah, I know, we'll work it out. So tentatively, we'll have it on for next month. If we need to strike it off, we'll strike it off. Anything else?
I don't have anything about safety at this point. That's good. It's winter. Don't fall on the ice.
I have a thing on, I don't know if it's safety or public works, but I'd like to talk about the, where the kids cross at the middle school. There is a crossing guard there, but it's still apparently pretty dangerous, and I know it's winter and we don't put the cones out, like crosswalk cones out and stuff, but I want to talk about how we can maybe try and improve that area. So let's put that on safety. Anything else? Nope. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.